Hey there. I just wanted to let you know that next week I will be offering a free live VBAC prep workshop called Three Steps to Have an Empowered VBAC, even without a supportive provider. The two sessions will be on Wednesday, October 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The second session is Tuesday, October 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't have to attend both. You can attend either one, or you can attend both if you'd like. Again, this will be live. Some of the things I'll be covering in the workshop are how to shift from fear and doubt to confidence and empowerment when it comes to your VBAC, the power of effective communication and boundary setting, and how you can still have a strong support system even without a supportive provider. This workshop is perfect for anyone, whether you're trying to conceive or currently pregnant and preparing for a VBAC. Again, the two dates currently being offered are Wednesday, October 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Tuesday, October 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to find out more and register for one of the workshop dates, please go to thehannahgill.com/workshop. Hey there, welcome back to Motherhood Flow. I'm very excited to talk about today's topic because it's something that truly changed my experience when preparing for my VBAC. It's more like an overarching concept versus something specific. And I'm going to try to explain it in a way that's very tangible for you, that you can take something away from this episode instead of just thinking and conceptualizing in your mind. All right, so let's get into it. I'm your host, Hannah Gill, and this is Motherhood Flow. So today I want to talk about the idea of envisioning your ideal birth and how that can be an extremely powerful tool, not just, for the physical aspects of birth, but for the mental and emotional preparation of your VBAC, which I've said before, I think is probably the most important thing you can do. And you've probably heard, and I've heard actually recently on I can't remember what podcast it was, but I've heard this before about what you focus on and what you put your time and energy on, that expands and becomes more. So the idea that sleep begets sleep. So what you focus on expands. And in this episode, I just want to talk about how that's so true for your birth experience too. And a little bit later in the episode, I want to guide you and kind of walk you through a quick and easy exercise to help you start this process. Like I said, I want this to try to be more tangible and not just conceptual for you. So I'll be going over that a little bit later. So back when I was preparing for my VBAC, after my first birth, which obviously ended in a C-section, I had so many negative feelings. I had a lot of doubt and fear about my body failing me and my body's ability to birth again and to birth vaginally. And I just kept thinking about and replaying, wondering what happened and thinking about all the what ifs if I had another baby. So what if something goes wrong again? What if my body just simply is not capable of birthing a baby vaginally? What if my pelvis is too small? What if my baby was too big? But then I found this idea and concept, like I mentioned, of envisioning my ideal birth scenario. And it wasn't about setting the super rigid birth plan and being unrealistic or setting myself up for failure and disappointment by getting my hopes up too high. And it was really just about, reframing my mindset, shifting my mindset from one of fear and doubt to being more empowered. So once I started to visualize the birth I wanted, something really changed for me. My mental and emotional state, they started to align with my goals and this vision that I had. So I went into that pregnancy and birth with really a sense of calm and confidence that I didn't feel before my first and that I didn't feel immediately after my first. So again, like I mentioned, here in a bit, I want to guide you through how to do this and what I did. Even if you're feeling a lot of fear and doubt right now, I promise going through this process can absolutely change everything for your birth preparation and going towards your VBAC. But there's three primary things that I really want to talk about today on this topic. The first is why envisioning your ideal birth is so important. I've said it before, but our minds are incredibly powerful. So think about when you imagine and visualize something and how much impact that can have. For example, think about athletes or performers using visualization techniques before competitions or performances, it can help them like truly mentally prepare and perform at their best because they're going over in their minds like what they're going to do, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. And that's the same for birth. By imagining and visualizing your ideal birth, you're almost training your mind to believe in your body's ability to carry out that birth. For VBAC moms especially, there's often a lot of fear or trauma tied to that first birth experience. So envisioning your ideal birth helps almost to rewire those negative thoughts and create a new like positive pathway in your brain for transforming that thought. So that is why I truly believe that envisioning your ideal birth is so important because it has a lot of power. Our minds are incredibly powerful. The second point I want to make is that this visualization, the imagining of your ideal birth scenario, impacts your mental and emotional states and preparations for your VBAC. So when you're constantly in a state of stress and anxiety, you constantly think about the worst case scenarios or replay fears, your body reacts to that. Your body reacts to what's going on in your mind by staying in a state of stress and high cortisol and anxiety and fear. And this makes it so much harder to trust your body to be able to birth your baby and to trust the process of birth. And I'm not saying just to like trust it blindly and just like assume everything's going to turn out fine, but just in your ability to have self-confidence in your body. But when you start imagining and visualizing your birth as this calm, empowering, beautiful, powerful, forceful experience, it signals to your body that everything is okay and you can start to relax. And this will obviously lower your like cortisol, stress hormones, and that can actually help labor progress more smoothly because your cortisol will lower, your oxytocin will increase, and that can make labor happen with ease. So emotionally envisioning your ideal birth is one of the first steps you can take to allow yourself to heal from your previous birth or any past trauma and go more into that space of self-trust, self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-confidence. And it's not about trying to like create this quote unquote perfect birth or you have to do everything ABC, everything to a T. It's not about that because we know that we all know that we don't have that much control over birth. It's about knowing that no matter what happens in your birth, your pregnancy and birth, you're going to approach it from a place of strength and calm and confidence versus one of stress and anxiety and fear and uncertainty and chaos. So that's the second point I want to talk about. Like doing this visualization really impacts your mental and emotional state and preparation for your VBAC. The third point is like how do you even go about like envisioning your ideal birth when you're potentially filled with like fear and doubt and uncertainty? It's a lot easier than you might think. And when I started the process, I didn't realize it was going to be this simple, but it's almost like a meditation or when you just relax and have like deep thoughts. So if you find a quiet spot, close your eyes and begin just like picturing the environment you want to be in. So whether that be a hospital room or a birth center or your living room or your bedroom or wherever you want to give birth. And then start really in detail, like visualizing that environment. Who's around you? Who is with you? What do you see? What sounds do you hear around you? Are you at a home birth and your other children are there with you? Are you in a hospital and you can hear the sounds of like the monitors beeping or your music playing? Do you have like soft music or your support team and they're encouraging you and talking to you? Do you have hypnosis tracks that you're listening to? All of those things. What do you feel? Like, are you in a birth tub? Are you in the shower? Are you on the toilet? What is your body feeling? What is your heart feeling? And then imagine yourself like in this scenario. So you've imagined like the environment around you. Now imagine yourself in this scenario and imagine yourself as calm, confident, grounded, and strong as you go through each phase of labor. Imagine each phase, like early labor is going to be a different environment and situation than active labor, and then pushing and immediately postpartum. So imagine every phase in detail, and then actually visualize your baby being born and put onto your belly or your chest, and how that moment makes you feel. You may feel powerful, proud, connected, overwhelmingly all consumed with the hormones and the emotions and the entire experience. Imagine your entire birth scenario, your ideal birth in detail from start to finish. So even if you have doubts or fears right now, that's okay. Like, this process can help you just start small. If you just want to start with early labor, you don't have to visualize the whole birth at once. Just focus on one moment at a time, like how you want to feel when you go into labor or how you want to handle the contractions. And the more you practice and visualize and go through this process, your vision's going to become so clear. You're going to have so much clarity with the type of birth you want. And there's a really, and I know like as moms and pregnancy, and we're just all so busy and there's so much going on. And you're probably thinking like, how do I actually go through this? I don't have the time to do this. But I'm going to share in a moment a really easy technique to practice this every day. But before that, I want to address one really common question, and it's for everyone. What if I imagine my ideal birth and it still doesn't go as planned? What if something goes wrong? What if my quote unquote birth plan goes out the window? So, one misconception about envisioning your ideal birth and going through this process is that if things don't go according to that vision or that plan, you're going to feel disappointed or like you failed. But here is the thing, like, the purpose of this practice in this process is not to control every outcome and for everything to go exactly as you're envisioning it. It's really to prepare your mind and emotions to be as calm and empowered as possible, no matter what happens. So even if your birth doesn't go exactly how you envisioned it, the mental and emotional strength you've built up through this process will help you navigate those challenges with so much more calm and confidence and resilience if things do not go how you're envisioning. So for my own VBAC, I took Hypnobabies, which is a program to help prepare your mind and your body and everything for birth, a calm and empowered birth. But for me specifically, it was an unmedicated birth. So I envisioned this calm, unmedicated, like real, raw, open, like feeling it all type of birth. And some things did not go exactly as I had envisioned or planned. Like, I had planned to stay home and labor as long as possible, but then my labor started with intense bleeding that was very concerning to me. So even though things did not go as exactly how I had planned or envisioned, I was able to stay present and grounded because I had already mentally prepared myself. And I focused on how I wanted to truly feel and be empowered rather than like the exact sequence and number of events that were happening. So, to quickly recap, sorry, those 3 points that I was talking about. The first is envisioning your ideal birth can almost train your mind to focus on the positive and to be mentally and emotionally prepared for that, which is essential for that preparation for a VBAC. And I'm not saying like, oh, only think of positivity. It's never okay to have negative thoughts, but this does help keep you in a sense of empowerment, calm, and confidence. The second is that going through this process, this visualization process, can help reduce your stress and boost your confidence as you prepare for your VBAC. So it's going to help lower those cortisol levels, boost your oxytocin levels, and help everything go more smoothly. And then the third is you don't have to like visualize every single detail. Just focus on how you want to feel, and the rest will follow. And you'll be able to like visualize those details. Like for me, I wanted to visualize every single detail, but it seemed overwhelming to start there. So you don't have to start with every single detail and every single phase. Just focus on how you want to feel in each specific moment of your labor. So here is the quick way to go through this process, because I know, hello, busy mom over here as well. Like, how do I find the time to even eat half the time? So find 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes is all you need to just sit quietly and just imagine one part of your ideal birth. And maybe it's just how you want to, like I said, feel when you start going into labor, or how you want to interact and communicate with your birth team or something like that. Start small and practice daily. 5 minutes. This can be like while you're going to the bathroom. Like, it can be instead of waking up in the morning and scrolling your phone on social media, do this. Or even like while you're laying down going to sleep at night. Like 5 minutes is truly nothing. We can all find 5 minutes. So start small, practice every day. Do this even when you're not pregnant yet. Like if you're trying to conceive or you're postpartum from your C-section, do this. Start this now. Earlier is always better. Get into the practice of envisioning your ideal birth. So on the next episode, I will be sharing another beautiful VBAC story to give you some inspiration and motivation for envisioning your own birth. And trust me, you'll want to tune in for that one. It's a really, really good one. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love it if you could leave a review or rating or share it with a friend who's preparing for their VBAC as well. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Like I said, another powerful VBAC story. And before I go, I want to give a quick thank you to Mama of 4 Under 4 on Apple Podcasts for your recent 5-star review. It says, the title is Great Podcast. I've loved listening to this podcast. Hannah is so relatable and open about motherhood. It's refreshing and something I truly look forward to listening to. So thank you so much for that review. Your support, reviews, ratings, sharing helps me reach more women who need this message of empowerment for their VBAC. So until next time, keep flowing. You just finished another episode of Motherhood Flow. For more, head over to thehannahgill.com or on Instagram @thehannahgill. As a reminder, this podcast is provided to you for educational and entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered a substitute for medical advice. Until next time, keep flowing.